everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Train and Talk series. My name is Sinead from Chartered Accountants Ireland, and I get to talk to some of our course tutors about our programs. And today I am delighted because we have Tim from the Diploma in Forensic Accounting and Investigation joining us. So Tim, you are so very welcome. Thank you so much for coming along. How are you today?
I'm very well, happy to be here.
I'm delighted you've come along, and I'm really excited to get a wee bit of a sneak peek underneath the bonnet of this particular program. So maybe we'll start things off with a bit of an introduction for the benefit of folk tuning in. Tell us a bit more about yourself there, Tim.
Okay, well, I'm Tim Ralston, and presenter on the Diploma in Forensic Accounting and Investigations, and I've been a forensic accountant for over 20 years, so that's kind of the why I'm on the screen. And it's my experience is Ireland is a relatively small place, and so we get to do a bit of everything when it comes to forensic accounting. And so my experience is in the investigation side of things as well as the expert witness side. So everything from your big high profile investigations for corporates or regulators all the way down to kind of the much smaller ones, but they're still important to the individuals that are involved and the corporates that are involved. And then on the expert witness side of things, it's your big high profile loss of profits cases all the way through to family law cases or personal injury cases that will be much less profile, but they again very significant for the people that are involved. And then the other side of things, which I enjoy, is working with corporates to try and prevent, help them to figure out how do they avoid getting into those situations in the first place. So dealing with, the risk management side of things, the identifying weaknesses and putting in place kind of steps that can actually improve things. And so that's kind of, I suppose, that's what forensic accounting is, and that's kind of my background in it.
So much variety within that, and it's always a subject matter I think that interests people, just by the very nature of what it is, forensics. So obviously you bring a lot of experience to the table, which is fabulous. So maybe would you tell us a bit about the training and then what you do there with us at Chartered Accountants Ireland?
Yeah, so the course has been running for I think it's nearly 15 years. So when we developed it at the beginning, the idea was that it should be really practical. So along with giving the theory and presenting people with what's involved and how do you go about doing it, it was really important that there was that practical element where people were able to say, well, okay, this is the theory, and how do I actually put that into action on a day-to-day basis? And so that's how we developed it at the very beginning. And as we've continued to work and develop the course, that's always been really important, that it is that practical element. And so everybody, obviously I'm one of the presenters. There's a number of presenters, and we've all got, a significant amount of experience in the area. And so that then can be brought and shared in terms of the practical application of everything.
Brilliant, Tim. So in terms of maybe a bit more about the content or subject areas, what do we cover in that program?
Yeah, so we do it over 6 modules. So, okay. And it's spread out. So we start off with that kind of, well, one of the interesting things about this is that there's a range of folk that do this course. And so some people will come with a huge amount of experience and will be looking for the credentials. And then there will be others who've got relatively little experience. It sounds like an interesting area. It sounds like something that they would like to figure out what is it and how can it apply to me. And so it's brilliant having that range of experience in the class, because you've got all of the questions as well as all of the practical experience that they come with it. And so what we do is we start off with what is forensic accounting? How does that actually work on a day-to-day basis? What are the issues that can arise, the professional, the ethical issues that can arise for somebody who's actually working in this area? And then we bring that then on and we start looking at, well, and we break it into 2 areas. One is investigations and one is expert witness, okay, in a general kind of sense. But what we do then is we work through, well, how do you deal with an investigation? What's involved? What are the team dynamics that you need to consider? What's the particular skill sets that you're looking for or that you might need to be aware of? Some of the pitfalls and the challenges that come with that. The approach that you need to take, all the way through then to, well, how do you go about reporting your findings and ensuring that what you're saying can stand up to challenge? So we work on that side of things. And we also then look at it from the expert witness side of things. So giving evidence in court, again, what's involved, what do you need to consider in terms of your approach, again, the sort of other professionals that you'll be working within those types of assignments, and the interactions that you're likely to have, and taking that all the way through to, preparing your evidence and ultimately giving evidence in court or another tribunal. And how do you go about doing that? How do you stand over that? How are you able to answer the questions and give the robust evidence that's required? And so we kind of, they're the two kind of broad brush areas that we focus on. We also then look at how do you work with companies or individuals or corporates in terms of identifying weaknesses and risks and helping them identify how do they avoid those risks, how do they minimize those weaknesses, so that they don't find themselves in the difficulties that otherwise they might do. And so it's very much we take the theory and we work through that, but it's all the way through. We're using practical real life examples. There'll be real life case studies. There'll be real life, the stories of what went wrong and how we could have avoided those mistakes. And again, because the class has this range of experience, it's really important, and it works really well that is shared and that there's that discussion within the class, so that people are able to ask the questions, offer what had they done in the past, or what would they do if that situation, and what might happen pulling out of that. We also then use, we've got a couple of role plays, kind of key role plays that we use as kind of just reinforcing the learning that we've worked through in a real practical way. And so we've got that opportunity on the investigation side, where again, using a real life case study where the participants get an opportunity to interview a suspected wrongdoer in relation to a suspected fraud. And so it's the learning in terms of all of the approaches that we've talked about, and how does that then, how does that get tested when you're actually sitting across the table or sitting across the screen from a suspected wrongdoer. And then on the expert witness side of things, again, we've got a role play where we've got barristers who will come and will cross-examine the participants in relation to an expert witness report. And again, it's that practical experience of, you can do all of the theory in terms of what would happen, but it's being challenged on what is in a report. How do you stand over that? What do you do when you're put under that kind of pressure, and how do you learn from that? And it's always been, I think, a really important element of the course, because not only are you learning from your own role play, but you're also seeing how other people did it, and you get to learn from theirs. So there's a real kind of joint learning experience as part of that. So and then the other thing which we've always tried to do is engaging with the topical issues as they arise, because it's forensic accounting or and financial crime, and that whole area is such a dynamic area. There's always issues that arise, and so we do try and engage with those and enable the class discussion and considering what is the learning that we should all be aware of coming out of that.
So lots packed in by the sounds of it, Tim, but really valuable and practical by the sounds of it.
It's the practical element that we're really trying to reinforce.
Which makes the difference to a learner, that really makes it stick. Question that I would typically get is around how is it delivered and how is it examined? So tell me a bit more about that.
So we do it through a virtual classroom. So it's, as I say, there's 6 modules. It's very much a blend of learning, doing the reading, doing the preparation beforehand, then having the class discussion, having the engagement with particular topics and drawing those issues out and teasing them out, reinforced then with the use of case studies and the role plays and things like that. And when we come to assessing the course, again, kind of consistent with what we've tried to do, the assessments are based on case studies. So we use as real life a case study as we can, and then we're asking the participants to apply what they've read, what they've heard, what they've discussed to that practical real life scenario, and how would they go about doing that. So that's the way we do it. So there's 3 assessments. There's one relating to the kind of investigations, one relating to expert witness, and then one, the final one, which is a kind of overarching kind of discussion around forensic accounting and the application in terms of kind of a case study scenario. And we give feedback as practical as we can in terms of the learning points coming out of those. Brilliant. So that people are, it is an assessment, but it's also that learning opportunity that people can take it and apply some of that learning in a practical way to their day-to-day business.
Well, that's not daunting at all. That makes perfect sense, and people are just, I suppose, applying their knowledge then in those practical assessments.
Well, that's the thing. And we've introduced a kind of what we call a learning log. It's really a discussion, and it's facilitated in the Chartered Accountants Ireland, the portal, the learning portal. And so what we've done is we've asked people to engage on topical issues, and it creates essentially a discussion within the class, and so there's that learning opportunity in terms of what other people are bringing to that conversation. So we have 4 of those throughout the diploma. Again, just it's giving people an opportunity to participate and engage and discuss some of the issues that are arising.
So valuable. We touched on it a little bit, Tim, but be interested to know, who is the course ideally for? Who attends? Who would get something from it, do you think?
We get a real range of backgrounds. When we were developing the course, initially it was the idea was that it would be practitioners in the area. Whether that's accountants who are working in practice in this particular area, or in financial services and the whole investigation side of things, or something like that. We've had a real range, and that's been brilliant because again, you get different perspectives and different experiences. So we have everything from the very experienced practitioner who's looking for the credentials, to somebody who's starting out, and this is essentially an introduction to forensic accounting. We'll have practitioners who are involved in general practice, and they see it as being something that they maybe can add on as a service offering.
Of course.
So come with relatively little experience in forensic accounting specifically. And then we've got regulators. We'll have people who are working kind of in the insurance side of things, or financial services, internal audit, compliance, risk management side of things, and then in addition to that, there's the CEOs, the FDs, and those kind of people who are coming from the point of view of they want to understand what's involved. They mightn't necessarily be practically involved themselves, but they want to understand what's involved in the investigations or in the dealing with court cases. And so again, you're coming again with a different perspective and a different approach. So it's and then there's the folk who see forensic in front of something and they say that's going to be interesting and I need to do CPD. And so that, and again, you've got that kind of opportunity to have the classroom discussion with people who have these different experiences and are coming from different places. Because one of the really important things, I think, with any of these courses that chartered accountants run is the networking element. And so it's always been very important that the class get the opportunity to network amongst themselves, as well as obviously, there's all of the presenters who are working in this area, and there's that opportunity too. But it's really important to have that opportunity. The people who are going to be working in the area or dealing with it in some way are able to get to know each other and take that away with them as well.
No, I'm glad I asked that, Tim, because there could be a misconception there. It's just for people practicing in the forensic space, but as you say, all welcome people from all backgrounds.
We've had a huge, people from all backgrounds. It's been really, that's been a real strength, I think, for the folk who are on the course.
Absolutely, added value to it for the experience for everyone, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to let you go just yet, Tim. I'd love to ask you one more question just around what would you say to someone considering it? If they're on the fence and they're thinking about the next intake, signing up, what might you say?
Well, I'd obviously say do it, but I think
Go for it.
I think the thing is it makes sense to take the time to think about it and actually kind of do a bit of go away, read the what is the course, what's the content, does that really sound like something that you're going to be happy to invest the time in?
Yes.
I think talking to the folk in Chartered Accountants Ireland, because you guys will give a really good steer in terms of what's involved and whether it sounds like something that is relevant to the individual or not. And more than happy to chat to people who want to get into the detail of what's involved and is this something that's relevant. But I think it is. I think because it's a set of skills and approaches that are very much transferable beyond what people would see as being kind of pure forensic accounting. And I think it is something that whatever your area, you're going to leave the course with a set of skills and knowledge and approaches that are going to be very useful. So I think it's worth doing taking the time, thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say that if people decide to do it, they'll get a lot from it.
Brilliant. Well, what a note to end on. Tim, that has been so insightful. And folk tuning in, if you've got this far, hopefully you've really enjoyed that teaser as to what the course is about. And we've really appreciated you stepping us through that all, Tim. So thank you so much for coming along and doing that. We really appreciate your time.
That's no problem. Pleasure.
Brilliant. And folks tuning in, you'll get more details of the next intake of the course in the caption. So be sure to read that. And thanks again, everyone. And thanks for watching.